Alright, today I'm working on a BMW and it's been sitting for a wee while, and I took it for a wee drive yesterday and the brakes sounded kind of scrapey. As you can see, there's a bit of rust build up on the discs. So, me being me, I've stripped all the brakes down completely, so there's nothing on, and I'm just going to be doing my usual thing of kind of servicing them. So I've stripped it all down completely and I've got the disc off here, and I always take the discs off because the backs of the discs are really bad for getting paid, especially in the inner bits of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly run a bit of sandpaper over it, maybe even a grinder just for quickness, because I got all four corners to do before it starts raining. So yeah, I'm just going to take all that down. I've got the pads off as well. One pad's still on the caliper. Got to sand them down. As you can see, they're kind of shiny and they should be a bit more matted. So I'm going to use this glass sandpaper just to kind of take that off. And then finally, inside here, I'm just going to make sure the piston is moving back and forward properly. Okay, I'll show you what I'm going to do. Alright, so I've got my flappy disc on the grinder here, and I'm not looking to remove material, I'm just looking to get rid of that surface rust off it. So I'm just going to do a quick light pass over the top, hence why I've got a flappy disc on, because I don't do as much damage as a stone disc. That's just a 60 grit if you're wondering, but it really doesn't matter. Use a bit of sandpaper. This is just laziness. That's literally it, there's nothing. Also, get some parts cleaner. Usually we use brake fluid, brake cleaner, but I've only got some carb cleaner, which is essentially basically almost the same thing. It does take a bit more wiping to get off though, and I've got a nasty rag. There we go, there's a clean bit. Make sure you clean this. If these are too far gone on your car, then you will just have to get new ones. I'm going to apply some copper grease to this, just so that it doesn't get stuck on. So next time I have to do this or change the discs probably. Then once you've cleaned your hands, reinstall the disc on BMWs. So that'll handy holder to hold the disc on. There we go. I always put a tiny bit of copper grease on the end of these, just because these need to come out again. Next bit is I make sure the sliders are not rusty. These still have, you see where the pads have been sitting on the shiny bits, so I'm just going to wire brush them quickly. See, there's actually a lot of grease in there, so I always keep them topped up. Now, excuse the scrimpiness, but this is some red rubber grease that I'm going to use on it. I've always just used red rubber grease, so I have. I just put it on all the contact points of where the pads sit, and obviously on the sliders, which are out of sight, the actual pin sliders. So that's the stuff there. Let's get that a good old mush in to all the contact points. Basically the reason why I'm doing this is because in the UK, if you don't move your car that very often, if it sits outside, your brakes can seize up and then you can have lots of problems for that. Okay, so this next bit you need either a G-clamp or a winder tool, and we're just going to push the piston in and out and make sure it's moving. Take the pad out the caliper. What we're going to do is the G-clamp in with it going. Wind the G-clamp in. And I don't think this G-clamp's going to work. Okay, let's try it with this now. So this is a winder tool. As you can see, I've got it resting on the piston. I've got the lady thing in here. I'm just going to push it back in. Okay, that's a good sign. It's going in anyways. It's a wee bit of a struggle. It's a wee bit of a struggle if it's still connected on the back, but hey. Should maybe be a bit freer than that, so chuck the ratchet on it. She's moving in. Yeah, that's looking good. So it's usually a good sign if they're moving in. If it's not moving in, then you're gonna either have to rebuild the caliper or replace the caliper, and neither are fun. Make sure when you're using your tool you don't knackered catch the boot or anything like that. Okay, so I'm gonna go inside the car now, and you're probably not gonna be able to see because the caliper's not wanting to play ball. I'm going to go and press the foot brake just a bit, just to make the caliper come up. So if you watch the piston here, it'll get pushed up. I'm going to pump the pedal about maybe 2 full pumps, and then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to push it in. Don't pump it all the way out or the piston will come out. Alright, now that's pushed out, I'm going to push it back in. Just the same way as I did before. I've got the pads off, you know, and they're looking kind of glazed, as you can see by the kind of shine to them. So these should be kind of matted. So I'm just going to take some glass emery paper to them. Alright, so as you can see, that's a lot more matted. Still got a bit of a shine to it, but it will do. But it's now not glazed over as much. So I'm gonna now stick these back on, and I'm gonna lubricate the pins on the calipers, and then that's basically me done. I'm gonna start piecing this back together because that's me basically done. These slide pins, I'm pretty happy. These have been greased up many of a time before, so I'm just gonna chuck it all back together now. There's no point wasting time, especially when the daylight is fading, when you've got 3 other sides to do. That's in. The other pad. So the reason I do this is because if you don't get rid of all the rust on your discs and all that, it only gets worse, and then you don't actually. You can kind of see it on this pad here. There's like a lip on it, right there, where it's not been sitting on right, and it means you're not using the whole pad, and it means your braking gets a lot worse. So, giving it a quick good sanding down till it's matted. and then they just slide right on in. Also, another reason why I do this is if the caliper piston gets stuck, then your brakes can get locked on, and as you're driving along, your brakes are basically clamped on. Then you start smelling brake pads, and then next thing you know, you've cooked all your brakes, and your calipers, well, the calipers were already ruined, but your discs and pads are also ruined. So yeah, it's good to keep an eye on these things. I mean, do this check every now and then, kind of like at least like 4 times a year or something, if you want to be quite excessive about it. Alright, so that's me, finally got that bloody slide pin bolt in, and I'm going to call it there, because that's all you really need to know. It doesn't need to be any more longer, this wee little video. But yeah, that's just a little thing I just do, just to check everything. So brake pads, check discs, well, clean the brake pads, clean the discs with sandpaper, and then grease everything up, make sure the piston moves in and out evenly and freely. Yeah, there you go. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys some other time.